Hi, I'm Sam, and welcome to Made in the Blank. This is my final project for my composition theory class, and in this project, I'm going to talk about ecocomposition and how it relates to composition theory. My driving questions of this project are: number one, what is ecocomposition? And number two, how does it allow writers to make connections across systems and express or foster their identity in composition? Before I leave you to learn about the latter question, I'd figured I'd give you a crash course on ecocomposition so you know a little bit more about it. Ecocomposition was first addressed at a roundtable at a 4Cs conference in 1999 in Chicago. Now, during this roundtable, discussions on ecology and composition ensued, paving the way for Sidney Dobrin and Christian Weiser to complicate the popular theory of process-based composition. Let me first clear up the difference between ecology and ecocomposition, though. So, ecology is a scientific field that's related to the study of the relationship between organisms and their surrounding environments, while ecocomposition, on the other hand, can be best understood as the examination of not only the relationships between discourse and nature, but the relationship between discourse and any site where discourse exists. So traditionally, ecocomposition is found within place-based and nature writing, which makes the work in that field tend to take on the form of ecological activism. Instead of talking about traditional ecocomposition, though, I'm going to focus on newer conceptions of ecocomposition found in Thomas Hotham's Suburban Studies and College Writing. Per Hotham, ecocomposition is more engaged with humans and how their discourse methods, which is related to language, are shaped by their environments. And since this definition allows us to understand one's environment as basically anywhere where discourse exists, so that can be a class, a culture, a movie theater, a garden, and even an online forum, that means that ecocomposition also includes the way we switch in between those environments and use different languages in each setting. So I know that sounds like code switching, but it's not exactly the same thing. For example, code switching is used when a person switches languages depending on the situation or environment they're in. For example, an African American student who uses African American vernacular at home and then goes to school and uses standard American English to communicate with others. So for code switching, it's generally understood that the communicator has experience using both languages. Ecocomposition, on the other hand, states that you can use discourse methods and languages from your past experiences, which I'll call it A, and when you communicate with people from other discourse environments, which I'll call B. But you don't necessarily need to be from environment B in order to use that discourse method. Weiser also writes, our discussions of identity have been, thus far, constricted by the underlying premise that our identities are fashioned only through our connections with other humans. However, we have not yet recognized that the whole spectrum of the non-human physical environment is embedded in each of our identities. Ecocomposition allows us to consider how environments affect our discourse. What's the difference between church discourse and locker room discourse, for instance? While these identities are still related to humans in some ways, they are more related to rhetorical situations of the environment. Now, ecocomposition is regarded as a post-process-based composition because it considers physical environments in ways that process-based compositions do not. So, whereas process-based composition is informed by expressivist theories of self-informed introspective writing, Ecocomposition challenges the writer to search for identity and consider the ecological dimensions of our identities. In another work, Weiser writes, our identities are shaped and enriched by our contact with others in specific settings, and the degree to which we maneuver around, beside, and in accordance with others has much to do with who we are. Generally speaking, humans have an anthropocentric view of the world. That is, we really only consider humans and how we shape the world. And ecocomposition allows us to extend our perception to include all life. This statement, of course, again sounds like ecological activism, and ecocomposition certainly addresses activism. However, aside from another video that I've made to quickly address this topic, that's not the main point of my project. Instead of focusing on human-to-human interactions and networks like social constructivist theories, ecocomposition considers complex systems of relationships with all things that include discourse, and allows writers to foster identity in composition by doing so. Before I leave you, Weiser further writes, giving students the opportunity to articulate their connections to the world encourages them to reflect on their own authenticity and autonomy. Thinking about the degree to which their identities are the products of particular places and relationships might allow students to see themselves as unique individuals, yet also connected to others. Now, that's the end of my crash course, so thanks for sticking with me. This project has allowed me to organize my work in such a way that I hope you'll be able to understand the discourse methods I use and the environments I write in. If you get curious, visit my About Me page for more information about how my self was made and the discourse environments I belong to. Thanks.